It's very obvious that just like the internet in the 90s, people outside of crypto have no idea just how transformational this new technology will be. In fact, it looks like even regulators within the same agencies in the developed world can't even get on the same page with regard to what they want to do with crypto. Ready? Let's go. We've got a brand new technology here, guys. Okay, for us, it's like 12 years old, but to the governments of the world, it may as well be brand new technology. And they seem to have no idea how to come to a consensus as to how they should regulate it. The last time we saw this, it was the internet, and it changed everything. Of course, before we get to that, we're going to cover a few recent news items. This first one is a little bit of a PSA. I know for a lot of you, this is not necessary, but for a lot of people, it actually is. There are many different variety of scammers and scams in crypto. Crypto is a really high priority target for scammers because there's no wiring of funds, there's no use of Fed payment systems, of European Union payment systems. Once the scammers get you to send them your crypto on a large public blockchain, there's no government agency that can come in and reverse that transaction. They will try to find any possible way to get you to send them your crypto. Do not do it. Do not send them your crypto. Here you can see a good example. Looks like the scammers are saying, proceed here to rectify errors instantly. Walletpower.io. Looks like somebody said, I know Emergo's website. Yes, that's why we are here to assist. Emergo is our boss. Despite the fact we have a totally separate website, Emergo is our boss. So there are many different types of scams. They will pretend to be someone from Emergo associated with the Yoroi wallet. They will pretend to be someone from IOHK having to do with the Daedalus wallet. Any institution that has any level of trust within our ecosystem, they will pretend to be those people and try to get you somehow. In the end, they will try to get you to deliver your private keys or to send them the ADA or whatever. This also happens on this channel. You'll notice down in the comments, I try to delete them and ban them forever as quickly as possible, but there are scammers. They will steal the logo for this channel, make it their logo. They will have a name that looks very similar to the name Army of Spies. Everything looks like Army of Spies. And then somehow they're always trying to get you to go to Telegram or WhatsApp or somewhere else. Often it's Telegram or WhatsApp. I even had someone send me a message the other day asking me what was going on with my WhatsApp, my message for them to go to WhatsApp. I will never ask you to go to Telegram or WhatsApp. I will try to delete these scammers as quickly as I find them. There is no good solution provided by YouTube to deal with these scammers. The only thing YouTube will allow us to do is to prevent them from posting links directly, which is why they are constantly trying to get you to go to Telegram or WhatsApp. So look out. I will not try to get you to go to Telegram or WhatsApp. The people at Emergo trying to help you with Yoroi will not try to get you to go to some random website. There are many scammers in crypto. Do not fall for it. Do not give anyone your private keys. Do not send anyone your ADA. They are not trying to help you. On the Djed front, we're talking about the Djed stablecoin. I think you know how this worked. The IOHK sort of created this concept of the Djed stablecoin. It existed in various forms in the ecosystem prior to that, but Djed is sort of the big implementation. Cody is executing on it. Cody did an AMA, and they gave us an update that contains updates about Djed and some other updates that might be about Djed, even though they're not quite saying exactly what it is. So first of all, they let us know, and this is from the Twitter account of the Cody investor, who seems to be keeping a very tight monitoring on the pulse of what's going on in Cody. He says Djed, the AMA revealed Djed has been released on testnets and has performed well. Hundreds of partners are communicating with the team to set up the launch of Djed. It sounds like Shahaf Barkafin. I'm assuming Shahaf Barkafin gave this AMA. He said he finished the sentence with expect news. That sounds good because as we covered yesterday, the last time he said this, we got a pretty big announcement at the Cardano summit. He says, many governments, Shahaf Bargeffen said, many governments are like enterprises and they buy tech and don't build from scratch. And the demand for such tech has increased lately. I love the sounds of that. I hope that is the type of news we can expect soon. When asked, and here's the piece that reminded me a little bit of the Singapore Monetary Authority. When asked if they plan to help countries build their CBDC, the CEO, Shahaf Bargeffen, replied that they would update us once things are finalizing. And it looks like the Coty investor is interpreting that to mean they've already started to work with some countries' governments. I wonder if this is related to the Monetary Authority of Singapore's CBDC challenge. Wouldn't it be interesting? So the question we covered yesterday was someone in a previous AMA asking Shahaf Bargeffen if sort of a double if Djed if Djed were involved in the Monetary Authority of Singapore CBDC challenge, would Coty be involved? Shahaf Bargeffen said something to the effect of, you got to wait for the summit. Now he's being asked if they're helping any countries build CBDCs. And he says that everybody would have to wait for them to update the community once things are finalized. I'm hoping this means that Djed is involved in the project with Singapore, and people have been speculating. People have been speculating as to what other IOHK Cardano type products might be involved in that CBDC challenge. But it'll be really interesting if it turns out that Djed is a part of the Singapore project, and that we might be getting some news out of Coty on that soon. Again, this is in the line of speculation. We don't know. We're just interpreting little hints here from Shahaf Bargeffen, but in the past, those have turned into real things. So this is a very interesting development on the Djed front. This next item is probably extremely distressing for a lot of Cardano project runners. If you're building out a project in Cardano, a very distressing thing is probably all the regulatory confusion over crypto right now. But I think you can also look at it as a promising sign, in that the last time we saw this much regulatory confusion was probably the beginnings of mainstream adoption of the internet. Regulators were very confused as to what they should do with the internet. Should you just allow any content to be pushed out on the internet? Should the content of the internet be carefully policed? Should they just let it evolve on its own? And what came out of all that was a brand new whole genre of technologies and platforms and ways to communicate and ways to socialize. And I think there are perfectly reasonable arguments on both sides of the issue, whether that was all healthy for human beings or bad for human beings. I think it's still pretty unclear whether some of the effects of the internet are good or bad for human beings. Certainly it's changed the way we behave. If you walk into any restaurant, I think you look around. When I was a little kid, if you looked around in a restaurant, people were talking to each other. Now everybody's on their phone, and I'm one of them. I love the internet. I love it. My life would be markedly different without the internet, and I'm not sure I would enjoy that other life as much. Who knows? Well, that's not the version of the infinite universes that we live in. We live in the one with the internet, and when you go in the restaurant, everybody's on their phones, for good or for bad. But the thing is, that transformational technology was accompanied by this same level of regulatory confusion. And we see that right here. This is an article, an opinion piece written by SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce, who we talk about a lot on this channel because she is known as Crypto Mom. She's extremely pro-crypto. She's one of our allies inside the SEC. And here she writes an opinion piece about how much the SEC should be making decisions for investors. And she doesn't mention crypto like every other sentence. She says crypto twice in this article. The first time she says, although swindlers often change their pitch to reflect the day's most popular trends, crypto, clean energy are all the rage now, the cases the commission brings typically have the same things in common. They involve someone lying to get other people's money. And this is something we don't acknowledge a lot inside the crypto community. The cases the SEC actually brings, a very large amount of them are actually cases of people being swindlers. Like there are people who are lying to investors, taking their money, and then the money, kind of evaporates into the mist. Like that's the majority of the cases the SEC brings. And she's pointing that out here. We kind of think of the SEC as just like this monstrous bureaucracy that is trying to meddle in crypto for the sake of meddling in crypto. But actually, when it comes down to the rubber hitting the road on cases brought by the SEC against parties, actual parties out there doing issuances of securities, they don't have the manpower to go after every single infraction, and they prioritize the parties that are the actual swindlers, the ones who are actually lying to investors to get their money and have actual malice. That's not all the cases. I think that you could argue that a lot of cases brought by the SEC don't involve all those same elements, but just by virtue of the fact they don't have enough manpower, they have to prioritize those cases where people are engaging in those kinds of very bad behavior. We're talking about bad guys here. She also says something else, though. She points out things like this, and this is the second time she mentions crypto. She says, regulators, risk averse by nature, also should avoid imposing their own risk tolerance on investors. She says, for instance, the SEC has been reluctant to greenlight traditional investment products holding crypto, right? What is she talking about here? She's talking about a crypto ETF. We've as a community, we've been trying to get a crypto ETF for years, and all kinds of different parties have been trying to get a crypto ETF. Not all of them very crypto native. Even parties that the SEC would probably be more comfortable with can't get a crypto ETF. We've kind of seen some hints that that's all going to happen very soon. We're probably going to get a crypto ETF. This has been said before, though. I don't know how many times I've heard we're right there. We're on the doorstep of a crypto ETF, and then it didn't happen. So you never know, but it really does look like we might get a crypto ETF soon. And here Hester Peirce, I guess she pronounced her name Peirce. Hester Peirce is saying straight up, hey, the SEC regulators, SEC policymakers are risk averse. They're individuals who are risk averse. And they've been imposing that same risk averse nature on investors. But perhaps they've been harming those investors by restricting their ability to diversify their portfolios and gain exposure to this brand new technology. And she points out in this article something, I think this is the core of her proposition. And she says, respect for individual liberty is one of those very central American values. You have to respect someone's right to make their own decisions as to their investments. And just because a bunch of people, sort of making policy at the SEC would never invest in crypto doesn't mean they should prevent the entire landscape of American investors from investing in crypto. Even, she kind of intimates here that a lot of the SEC policy making is sort of aimed at what they would call the typical investor. But she points out you shouldn't aim all of the protections, the investor protections, at the typical investor, because you've got a wide range of risk appetites among American investors. And this doesn't just apply to the US. This applies to pretty much all these types of regulators that deal with securities in all kinds of developed economies. It's probably extremely different in some developing economies, but in the developed economies, it seems like a lot of these regulators sort of have this same mindset. A lot of people would describe it as paternalistic, and this is not for all countries. There are some countries that are almost the opposite of the behavior that she's identifying here. They're much more liberal. They let the investors in their jurisdiction take all the risks they want. I think all of us in crypto would agree we'd much rather like that kind of stance. And that's not what we've seen out of the SEC. I mean, what she points out is a testament to that. We don't have a crypto ETF yet. And there's obviously a huge appetite for that kind of an investment vehicle in the United States. We don't know. Gary Gensler, Janet Yellen, the Dragon, Senator Warren, they are not of the same mind as Hester Peirce. Hester Peirce is pro crypto. The others, it's weird. We all thought Gary Gensler was maybe going to be a great choice. Maybe he's going to be very pro crypto. And there's still people making that argument. I still get messages from people telling me that Gary Gensler is very pro crypto, but not by my definition. By my definition, he's not what I would call very pro crypto. And that's okay. We're going to have a diversity of opinions in the US, and we've got certain parties who are currently regulators or currently lawmakers who don't believe crypto should be given as much latitude as probably all of us in crypto think it should. And that's okay. That's inevitable. There are going to be regulators and lawmakers who don't agree with us. That's just fine. How quickly we win this battle, I'm not sure. You never know. We don't know which direction this is going to go. There's too much chaos. Who wins the next congressional elections? Who wins the next White House election? We don't know the answer to these questions. And those things could have big impacts on this. There's too many individual elements to guess how long it takes us to win this battle. But I'm convinced we are going to win this battle. Just like the internet became what it is today with all the transformative effects that it's had, I think crypto will also win this battle. But it's as annoying as it is right now for a lot of people within crypto, as distressing as it is, it's probably a good sign that there's this much regulatory confusion over crypto, because it seems like that's how it always is with these transformative technologies. So maybe we don't really need to be that distressed over all of this regulatory confusion and chaos. Maybe it's always this way. Maybe it has to be this way when technology comes along that's going to create the really big societal changes. Talk to you tomorrow.